Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another car events video. Today we are in Hickory Corners, Michigan at the Gilmore Car Museum. It's a beautiful museum with plenty of buildings and lots to see. However, we are here specifically for the 2024 Cadillac and LaSalle Club Fall Festival. Now this is mainly a Cadillac car show, so Cadillacs are mostly what is here, but this show has been open to all General Motors brands, so we will see Pontiacs, Oldsmobiles, Chevrolets, etc. So I'm really excited to show you guys around and to see what's here. So let's go ahead and start taking a look. Now we're going to start over here on the grounds by the Cadillac and LaSalle Club Museum, which is designed to look like an old Cadillac dealership from the mid-20th century. And over here is where we have most of the pre-war Cadillacs, as well as 1963 and 64 Cadillacs. In this particular show, we did put a special emphasis on 63 and 64 Cadillacs, so we made their own little section. So this particular car is a 1930 Model 353. I've never seen a green interior like this, almost like a military green, and the rumble seat in the back.
I'll put the clutch in.
Now this vehicle looks to be a LaSalle, 1940. It's been optioned with a heater, fog lights, spotlight. So it has some interesting options. And here's what the front end of the LaSalle looks like. But whenever I take a look at Cadillacs from the 40s, I always seem to be drawn to their two-door coupes. I always think that these cars have incredible lines on them. The slope-backed rear end. This is a Series 61 Coupe, 1941. Really nice looking cloth seats, all in really good shape. I'm sure it's been redone at some point, but it's been redone very nicely. And again, that rear end is just incredible. And you have a pretty good turnout of the 63 and 64 Cadillacs, so if you like that era, stick around. We'll take a quick look at each. Now this one's pretty big. This looks like a Series 75 actually. In very original condition, but that's okay. You just see just how long the back end of the car is. I'm guessing it has climate control for those in the back with those vents there. Let's take a quick look just to see how it is on the inside. It still has a plastic on the seats, so I'm sure those are in good shape. Jump seats are open in the back. And a lot of controls over there on the far side of the interior, probably to open and close both of the windows on either side. Cigarette lighter, ashtray, all the important stuff and a little door. So this might even have radio controls for the back as well. And a clock integrated into the back of the front bench seat. But this must be the sedan version, not the formal limousine, because no divider window. But I think personally, if I was to own one, this would be the way to go, because then as a driver, you'd be much more comfortable without the divider window in the back. And another very original looking Cadillac as well. But take a look at this black one. Very clean looking era. Nothing, not too ostentatious, but just enough chrome, just enough of a tail fin to look like a Cadillac. Here's an Eldorado convertible. Let's see what the inside of this one looks like. I love how there's the speaker grill in between the two rear seats. I think that's kind of a neat feature that some of the older Cadillacs from this era had. Here's another convertible. This time this one has the hood open. Take a quick look at it. Of course, that Cadillac blue on the engine. Here's a nice looking Fleetwood. Love how big it is. Plenty of space. It's hard to see in there with the windows up, but we'll get as good of a look as we can. And a massive trunk. This person certainly has collected a lot of 64 memorabilia. Looks like that might be one of the sales brochures there for 1964. Shows all the different swatches and styles of interior colorways and styles that you could buy at the time. Now this may come as a surprise to many of you, but one of my favorite cars here actually isn't a Cadillac and maybe not considered to be a car at all. It's actually this GMC motorhome. Now these GMC motorhomes were actually very advanced as far as motorhomes were concerned from back in the day, but this has air suspension, so it would have had a very nice ride compared to many other vehicles and motorhomes from the time. It It also has an Oldsmobile Toronado engine because apparently these were all front-wheel drive, and that engine would have sat right underneath the front compartment of the vehicle, and would have been a perfect fit, I suppose. But it also had a very advanced frame, from my understanding, and it sat lower than many other motorhomes at the time as well. So these are actually pretty astounding, and GMC, I guess, sold a lot of them. But for whatever reason, I guess they disappeared. Maybe in the 70s, I'm not really sure when they stopped making them, but I've seen these around and I always love looking at them. This one's very period color, interior and exterior, but it looks very nice. And I remember a few years ago, maybe actually, it's probably been at least 8 years by now, being at the Auburn car auction and seeing one of these motorhomes, and was actually modernized completely on the interior. So it looked absolutely beautiful with brand new cabinetry and furniture on the inside, and it was actually really well done. And that would be a really cool thing to do to one of these if you have the money to modernize them and then make them like a modern motorhome. But these are actually very collectible vehicles. I know they sell quite well when they're in good shape, and this one is no exception. It looks really nice, and I love seeing motorhomes like this GMC from this era. And as you can see, there are plenty of buildings around the Gilmore Museum campus. Each one is kind of dedicated to a different car club that may have actually spent money to have these buildings built in the first place. But for example, there's a Lincoln building right across the street from the Cadillac, of course. That's the one right there. That's kind of the tan color. Then we have a Ford building down the street, as well as, of course, the Cadillac and the Cell Club Museum. And over here, we've got a Pierce Arrow building, and then the Classic Car Club of America building. That one is actually really, really beautiful inside and out. They put a lot of money into that building just to make it really beautiful and a fantastic place to come and look at the cars inside. But it's definitely worth a look if you're nearby, and to come here to the Gilmore and to the Fall Festival. And over here in the show field on this section are all the different GM brands outside of Cadillac. We'll make our way through and see what we have, and then we'll get to the Cadillacs. Looks to be in very good shape. IROC Z Camaro. There's a Chevrolet Bel Air. Now this 71 Caprice looks really, really beautiful. It actually seems to be in very original shape. I love that exterior color, that bluish gray. Has a 454 badge, so that's gotta be special. But again, 1971, so early 70s. I'm not sure what kind of power this car would have made. I'm guessing it's just before all the environmental restrictions on engines, and probably made better power than the mid-70s Caprices before they downsized. 34,000 miles. That is really impressive. But I can't say I've seen too many Caprices from this era, at least not in this good of condition. And I do like it. It has a hitch on the back. I'm not sure if that would have been stock or not. And here's a little bit of info about the Caprice, the 71. So it's been unrestored survivor, fully optioned car. Oh, this says 49,000 miles. Okay, so maybe I misread the odometer, or maybe it's just not right or working anymore. So this has the full documentation as a General Motors Company fleet vehicle. That's pretty cool. So it has the 365 turbojet 454 V8. That's awesome. It has that hydromatic transmission, positive traction, power assist, windows, door locks, 6-way seat trunk release. Yeah, this is really well optioned out for a Chevrolet. Here's a Malibu SS, probably from the mid-60s if I were to guess. So this is a 1964, okay, yeah. And that certainly looks clean under the hood, doesn't it? Very nice red interior. What's really neat is they're giving car rides to people here at the museum, so you can get a ride in obviously a very old vehicle, which is pretty neat. But they also have rides for some other cars going around too. So if you have kids or your family, it's a fun thing to do while coming here to the Fall Festival. Chevrolet Cheyenne pickup truck. I do like that color combination, the blue and white. Just because of how collectible these trucks have gotten from this era in the 60s and 70s. When they're in good shape, they're probably worth more money now than they ever were when they were brand new. Over here are a couple Pontiac Trans Ams. Of course, looking very sporty. Never seen such big wheels on one from this era, I will say. And this one has a temporary tag on it, so someone's new owner, hopefully a happy new owner. Now I know that a lot of viewers and subscribers to the channel are fans of Oldsmobiles, so we've got quite the showing here today. And we'll take a look at this first one here, which I think is, in my opinion, the most beautiful, an Oldsmobile 98 Starfire. And I absolutely love the styling and look of this vehicle. And I especially like the emblem on the front of the car for Oldsmobile, which was kind of like a starry background. But I think a lot of Oldsmobiles also had a globe in the center of the hood there. So this one just had a little bit of a different design, which is pretty cool. And we also have a hood ornament that looks a lot like a jet. Looks like the contrails or something are designed into the hood, which is such an interesting design feature. 1956, and I love the exterior color, very unique. It's almost like a goldish brown. And I also love the design of the interior, especially when it comes to the dashboard. I love how the speedometer and even the clock kind of have a similar design theme to one another. And an especially interesting design element on the interior is that the speaker is behind the clock on the right side of the dashboard. And I also love how the ashtrays are implemented into the dashboard as well. You can't really see them, but if you push down on that section there, right in the middle, that would open up the ashtray. And I believe that many of these Oldsmobiles were also two-tone with a different color up there above the chrome and another color back here. And we'll take a look at some of the other vehicles here. Oldsmobile Cutlass, also similar color to this car, but this one's a little bit brighter. This is a 1972. Very well preserved interior. And the seats are in great shape as well. And over here is another Oldsmobile Cutlass. Beautiful looking engine. So this one is a 76, so a little bit newer than the other one I just looked at. But I love how this one has the swivel seats. Just look at that. It makes getting in and out all the easier, which I do appreciate and wish that more cars had. I mean, that's a great feature that most people I think would appreciate, but maybe with safety features today and safety requirements, that can't be done. And it's kind of cool to see an Oldsmobile custom cruiser station wagon. These have actually gained a lot of popularity recently, especially the Buick version of the station wagon with the wood paneling along the side. Those have become very collectible, but this is also, I believe, very collectible as well. This would have been from the mid-90s. This particular one, probably like a 93. Oh, it's a 91, older than I thought. And one of the ways you can tell this is an older model is that the mirror is mounted onto the door rather than the A-pillar up here on the front part of the door. Pretty interesting to see. But this is nicely optioned out with power seats up front. Plenty of room in the back. You do have a bit of a sunroof on top, which is pretty sweet. And of course the rearward facing third row, which I do especially love. And a cool feature about the tailgates on these station wagons that I believe the Chevrolets and Buicks also had was that this tailgate could open down normally, kind of like a truck tailgate, or it can open off to the side, kind of like the barn door style. And this particular Cutlass is a 1969. There isn't really a specific pattern as far as the parking is for these cars. They just kind of parked all the brands together rather than doing it by year or model, which I think is a good idea. It kind of gets everyone mixed together. You get talking with different people that maybe don't have the same exact car as you. So I think it's a good thing they did it that way. And yet again, believe it or not, another Cutlass, this time a red one. This one is a 1969 as well. And this Oldsmobile has an absolutely beautiful color. I don't know what this paint job would be called, but it's a beautiful aqua blue. Really nice. And this is a 1965 Dynamic 88, which I wasn't really aware of Dynamic before that particular name. I'm not sure if it's similar to Delta 88 or would have become Delta 88 at some point. Maybe you guys would know more of the history about the model name than I would. And then the final brand that we have to take a look before we look at Cadillac is Buick. And of course we have two Rivieras here, but these had very futuristic design cues, especially I believe this model here with the boat tail rear end. And this is a 1973. It has the red top on the car, which matches the red interior so nicely. But again, the styling on this particular Riviera, very advanced with that kind of boat tail back end at the rear. Really, really do like it. Okay, now for what many of you came here for, let's check out the Cadillacs. And starting off, we'll take a look at this 1976 Fleetwood, also in Commodore Blue. So if many of you have probably seen on the channel, we have a Series 75, my dad bought it, which is also in Commodore Blue and same year. And I love the cloth on the interior as well. And very roomy back seat. And I love on this era of Fleetwoods, they have the footrests integrated into the back seats. It's really hard to see in there, but they are there. And I'd like to point out to you all that there are initials on the back door of this particular Fleetwood, WHL. and that stands for William Leland, and he is the great-nephew or great-grandnephew of Henry Leland, who founded the Cadillac car brand. Apparently at some point he purchased this vehicle. However, I don't believe he bought it new, maybe in the early 2000s, but he had owned this vehicle and inscribed his initials onto the back door. So pretty cool historical fact about this vehicle, that it was owned by someone who was related to the founder of Cadillac. I can't think of anything more fitting than that. We'll take a quick look at some of the paperwork here. Looks like some build date information from the factory. And there you can see W.H. Leland. Looks like he even has his own card there on the windshield. And here we have an 84 Eldorado. And how many miles are on the car?
Now it's 62.
62.
When I got it was 26. It never been painted, it's all original.
I can tell. I mean, the interior is in beautiful shape, so is the exterior. 65,000 miles. Well, it smells like new in here too. It looks like a Coupe de Ville here from the mid-90s or so. Looks like this is a 91 Coupe de Ville. Beautiful color combination with the white seats and the red dashboard. A friend of mine had a Coupe Fleetwood from this era. Very similar color combination. This reminds me of it a lot. And we have a DeVille, a hearse here, of course, which is nice. So you get a little bit of everything. And here is a 84 Seville, and of course has that controversial back end that some people don't like. But this car is very low mileage. Apparently it has about 34,000 miles on it or so, and is in very good shape. And I was talking to the owner, and he said that it's gotten about 99 points at some of the Grand Nationals he's taken it to. So it's in really good shape. Really beautiful look, and the color is very nice too. Brome d'Elegance. And apparently these have gotten pretty collectible these days. I think now that they're kind of getting to be about 30, maybe even 40 years old in some cases nearly. People have kind of started to fall in love with them again. People are who were interested in these cars back in the day, maybe were too young to buy them or didn't have the money, are now interested in them again. Very thick white walls on the wheels, but it fits with this white vehicle. I do like the blue pinstriping and that partially blue interior with the dashboard. Looks like it has some sort of a badge there. I'm not sure what that is. NDJ 1984 to present. And this is an Eldorado. These 60 Eldorados just look unlike any others. It's a 1969. And there's some memorabilia for the car, talking about this particular model year of Eldorado, and it actually looks like to be the same color just about. But I really do like the design of the wheels and the front end and the back end on this Eldorado. And I just don't see them as much as, like, per se, the 70s Eldorados, like that one. And again, the styling did change a lot between the two, which is pretty interesting. But let's take a look at this particular one. Really unique color too. I can't say I've seen a green like this before. And this one is a 74 Eldorado. And once again, a matching green interior. Very neat. Looks like it does have delay wipers, so it is optioned out with some things. There's another late 60s Eldorado. This one is white. And I believe that this one actually was at the Grand National, so you may have seen that one already. And taking a look at this vehicle, you all may recognize this because I actually reviewed this very exact 1975 sedan DeVille. A friend of mine owns it, and he keeps very good care of it. Very beautiful looking. And of course, he's displaying it here at the show. And here's a 69 Coupe. And something that I really like about the 1969 Cadillacs is that the backrest of the front seats were much higher than other model years of Cadillacs. For whatever reason, they made it a lot higher this year, and I think that would be more comfortable for when you want to lean back and relax in the seat, but people must not have liked it because I believe they got rid of that in the 1970 model year. And something that's very recognizable of the 69 Cadillacs is the taillights. It almost looks like a tower, and it looks really beautiful compared, I think, to the 1968 and 70 models. And here is a 77 Eldorado Baritz. And I did have the honor of reviewing a 78 Baritz a few years ago. Very nice video, and I love that car. It rode so nicely, and those tufted leather seats, unlike anything else. So comfortable. This one is a 1975 model. Just look at the design on the seat pattern of the interior. Very unique. And this looks to be the original window sticker on the vehicle. $9,897. So incredible that that was what the cost was back in the day. And it was optioned out pretty nicely. I believe this would have been the a standard price of the vehicle, and then all those options, nearly $1,000 of options, that would increase the price by quite a bit. And here at the show, we have the General Motors Club apparel guys. They sell anything from shirts, jackets, and hats of your favorite car brands from General Motors and other club apparel. And if you're interested in any of those items, you can actually follow a link in the description below to go to their website and check out their merchandise. Man, just check out this coupe here. It looks like it's almost stretched with the way that the windows look. It looks really, really fast almost and sporty in a certain Cadillac luxurious way. This is pretty insane looking. Huge fan right behind the radiator. It almost looks simple though, which is kind of funny to say. So tell me all about this this coupe.
This coupe came from the governor of Virginia. Very hard to get Cadillacs back in that day. They were a year wait, and so obviously being a governor, he got this car, and they sold it through an estate after he passed. And my dad got it from the person that purchased it from the estate. And he bought this car when I was 2 years old. I'm 62 now, and it's been in the family for 60 years. It took my dad and his brother 10 years to do the restoration. When he passed, obviously I carried on and I built a pole barn with no windows, and I made my son make me a promise that he would keep this 100% original when I passed, or else I'm going to give it to his sister. My dad towards the end got bad where it was hard for him to travel and stuff, and I would take him to car shows, and he loved going to car shows, but he never made it to the Gilmore, and he would have loved to go there.
Yes, yes, this is a perfect place to have the car, and it looks, I just love the wood in the interior. So you're saying that everything here is essentially done as it would have been on the factory.
This is like rolling right off the assembly line.
Wow. Wow.
You cannot get it any closer than this to roll off the assembly line.
Sure.
The exterior is one paint job, and that was, like I said, 26 years ago. The Flat 8, which they put 2 of them in the military tanks in World War II.
Oh, I noticed your photo on front with the tank there. I was wondering what that was referencing.
That was the advertisement that they did with this car, because like I said, in World War II, they would put 2 of them in the tanks. And at that time, Cadillac were basically doing the motors for the military. Wow. And when the war stopped, they just took over and put them in the Cadillacs.
That's incredible.
Myself, growing up with this car, it always drew my attention to where it was way ahead of its time. This was the last year where they did not start, they did not have a fin. Like this, everything just flows.
Yes,
this
it does.
This car basically flows.
It does.
I mean, even the color is French gray, and it's battleship gray.
And how about the trunk capacity? Is there much room with this being a coupe?
Spare tire, jack. Newer Cadillacs have a larger trunk, but this is a really good size trunk.
This is actually a 1947 Zenith transoceanic radio.
I like to present it as that's what you would take on a picnic. Thermos and a sandwich container there. So,
and it's period correct, which I love.
Correct.
That is cool.
Period correct on that.
And we have 2 Cadillacs here, which appear to be 1955s, I believe. And of course, the pastels, once again, of that era, very popular. And you all may recognize this car. This is my Fleetwood Limited. I did bring it here with us today to have on the show, and it's been quite some time since you all have seen it on the channel, so you probably would enjoy seeing it again. And I will show you all, I was lucky enough to find a writing table for a Fleetwood Limited, and I had the table installed to look just like it would if it came with the car, so that's kind of a neat addition that I've made. And I do still very much enjoy my Fleetwood Limited. Again, it's my first car, and I've always loved it. And moving on from the Fleetwood Limited over to this 63 Cadillac. I also love the design of the Cadillac emblem in that red center and the steering wheel. That's a pretty unique look, and I can't say that I've actually seen that before. That is neat. And right here is one of my favorite cars, a 95 or 96 Fleetwood Brougham. And I did get to review one of these not that long ago, about a year ago actually. A black one, triple black, and I loved it. But it's this traditional Cadillac, has all the Cadillac features that you might expect and want, and the Cadillac ride and design. Just because it has the beautiful chrome along the lower third section of the car, the vinyl top, It all just fits so well together. Now this is something that I certainly haven't seen before, and most of you probably haven't either. Apparently this is a flower car. At first I thought it was some sort of like a pickup truck Cadillac, which I've actually seen one of those before. Those are also quite rare, but this is something even more unique, I think, being a flower car, which is truly fascinating. And it still does kind of have what looks like a tailgate in the back, but what a unique vehicle. And I'm sure that funeral homes would have used this back in the day just to have in funeral processions and carry flowers. And take a look at this 54 hearse. This is a huge car. I mean, it looks incredibly tall as well and has a very beautiful look to it. Oh, there's a fly going for a ride, I guess. But take a look at how nice this interior looks. Here's what the dashboard looks like. The odometer shows 38,000 miles. Who knows if it still works or not. But look at all that room and how ornate the interior is. I saw the badge showed Eureka on the side, so they must have done all the work to make this hearse. And it looks like this shows all the information about the hearse as well. If you guys want to, you can pause the video and maybe read that to see exactly what all they had to say about the car. And we also have a lot of photos here to show what must have been the restoration process. Obviously, quite a lot of work needed to be done to this thing to make it look like it does now. We'll take a look at this two-tone one. Looks like this one is a 1948 Series 62. Oh, and look at that. I love the design of the gauges there. Big arrow. Has an ashtray in the back, which is huge. A couple cranks for the windows. And maybe even the event window looks like that opens up as well, which is neat. Now here's a 58 Series 62. So kind of a newer version of the car we just looked at. But gosh, I just love the looks of this late 50s model car. The long length, the huge fins. Interior looks really well preserved. Nice plastic covering the seats to keep everything in great shape. And here's another 1969 Cadillac. Looks like this one is a DeVille convertible. And here's a really nice looking Seville. I love the two-tone silver and black on the exterior. It looks really nice. And this looks to be a 1978 model. It does have a sunroof on top, which is nice. And these were a pretty high-end Cadillac at the time, very sporty and actually really well built from the time from what I've heard. But it seems to have delay wipers. Looks like it has the auto-dimming lights as well. And of course, climate control and everything else you'd expect to have. But I really love how the center console has that nice button on the side to open it. Big comfy armrest in the back. And it just looks very elegant compared to many other Sevilles. I think I do prefer this era from many others. Here's a 57 Series 62. It is a white one. Here's what it looks like underneath the hood. And I do like this blue interior. Very nice color combination with the white and blue. Really nice. So my dad told me this is an Eldorado diesel, so tell me about this, Dad.
Well, when they really tried to push diesel engines, they got much better fuel economy. Unfortunately, the engine block they chose and made some errors to save money. They had a lot of problems with them, and they were very sluggish. Unfortunately, as much as diesel engines are much more efficient and have a lot of other benefits, they made some critical errors, which ruined the diesel name for cars for a long time.
Let's take a listen to that, to the engine at least, and see what it sounds like.
Great sound. I love diesels. This would get significantly better fuel economy than the
So it has the stainless steel top, Ritz name on the side. Very nice.
The diesel engine was standard, or certainly available on all the Cadillacs, regardless, other than the Series 75. I think certain models it was standard, and then it was an option to get a gas engine in certain models in certain years.
And of course, we can't leave out all the new Cadillacs. There is also a section at the show for those as well. And it looks like Cadillac also brought out a few vehicles too. Looks like a Lyric as well as a CT5V Blackwing. Very nice cars, but we'll take a quick look around here and see what we can find. You have an XT6, and of course one of my favorite modern Cadillacs, the CT6. This one isn't a Platinum, but it is a newer model, either the 19 or 20. And there's also a CTS-V Coupe here. There's also a brand new XT4 here with the updated front end and the big 33-inch screen on the interior. Someone brought out their XT5. And another CTS, this one being just a regular wagon, and a 2009 XLR, one of my favorite vehicles, and of course being an owner of a 2006 V, it is really special to see this particular model here. And actually, taking a look at this XLR, this is the very last one to go off the assembly line. That would have been in 2009, and this is a refreshed model, so that would make sense. And he's even got the plate to match in the back. Last XLR, just astounding. And it's too bad that it was the last one. They didn't make any more after this. No second generation XLR, and the world would not see any more new ones. Let's take a quick look at some of these. We have some 2 C1 Corvettes. And I do like how it has that kind of handle in the center for the passenger to grab onto if you're going around a corner real quick. Big steering wheel. There's a black one here as well. And a C8 Stingray. So a little bit of everything at this show, which is pretty nice. And in some ways, I wanted to save the best for last because we have a couple concept cars here from the General Motors Heritage Center. Let's go ahead and take a look. And the first of the cars from the Heritage Center is the Firebird 3 concept car. I believe this is one of the Motorama concept cars that would have gone to the Motorama shows back in the mid-20th century. And just look at the styling. These fins are absolutely insane looking. It looks unlike anything else I have ever seen before. Really amazing looking vent there on the side, and the bubble top for the passenger and driver. It looks almost like it's claustrophobic, but I'm sure it would actually be kind of fun to ride in there, much like a fighter jet. That might actually be the exhaust there on the top of the vehicle. And just take a look at the fins on this thing. I mean, if you were to like get hit by this car, I'm sure it would slice you in two. And I believe that the fins on the bottom section of the car are actually referred to skegs, just like the early 60s Cadillacs. And I believe that's where they got this design cue from. But this would have been very different and very futuristic compared to just about anything else coming out of GM at the time. Harley Earl, who was in charge of GM design, probably wouldn't have approved because he liked to have very low, long, and clean looking designs with parallel lines, and this is very different from that, but boy does it leave an impression. And of course the Firebird name also did leave an impression on General Motors, as that's where Pontiac got the Pontiac Firebird name from. So not only did Cadillac take something away from it, Pontiac did too, which is pretty cool. But most importantly, we have the Buick Y-Job here. Now, I have actually seen this car before at the Concours d'Elegance in Detroit at the Art Institute there, but this time seeing it again, I just absolutely love it even more. This is a very futuristic car for the time because Harley Earl designed it back in the 1930s. However, it was so futuristic and forward-looking that it really does look like a car from the 50s. It has hidden headlights, has the vertical grille that Buick would adopt. And Harley Earl actually loved this vehicle so much that he would drive it around Detroit himself, which is pretty cool that he did that because then everyone else would get to look at the car and say, wow, what the heck is that guy driving? This thing is futuristic. And boy, is it. Just look at that interesting center emblem on the steering wheel. Have a speedometer there, clock on the right side, and it looks like the radio in the center as well as a badge. Looks like it says Joint Experimental Project of General Motors Styling Section and Buick Motor Division. Project begun January 1938. First public showing December 1939, presented to Buick Historical Collection July 1959. It's just so cool to see how much of an impression this car must have had on people back then and still does today, and just how influential it was for GM design and car design in the mid-20th century. Okay, we made it through all the cars at the Cadillac and the Cell Club Fall Festival. I hope that you all enjoyed the video and maybe saw something that you didn't expect. I know that I did and had a blast. This is certainly a place that is worth visiting at least once in your life, or even traveling to if you're looking for someplace fun to go to and you like cars. There is so much to see here, so many buildings. You truly can't get it all in one video. It is massive. However, also please consider coming to the Cadillac Fall Festival. This is an annual event and a lot of people put a lot of hard work into putting it on and making it a success each year. So please consider coming to this event in the future. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.